Hello and welcome back to Aviation Avi. Go where you feel the most alive. If you haven't watched the part 1 of the history behind ICAO, I do recommend please watch that first and come back to this video to have a better understanding of the overall concept. So let's get started with part 2 of the history behind ICAO. As we discussed in part 1 of the video that this Chicago Convention was held in the year 1944. At the invitation of government of USA, 54 states met in Chicago from 1st of November 1944 to 7th of December 1944 with a view to establish basic legal framework for the operation of international civil air services. Out of 55 states that were invited, 52 states signed the convention. The conference in Chicago agreed on certain principles and agreements in order that international civil aviation may be developed in a safe and orderly manner and that international air transport services may be established on the basis of, very importantly, equality of opportunity and will be operated soundly and economically. Under the convention, it was mentioned that each signatory state undertakes to collaborate to secure the highest practicable degree in uniformity of regulations and standards, procedures, organizations relating to aircraft, personnel and airways in which such uniformity would be likely to facilitate and improve air navigation. Thus we understand the whole motive of the Chicago Convention was to channelize the vision of all the countries and develop international civil aviation in a safe and orderly manner and bring in standardized practices among all the nations involved. The Chicago Convention established that every contracting state has complete and exclusive sovereignty over the airspace above its territory and provides that no scheduled international air service may operate over or onto its territory of contracting state without the previous consent of the state. Further, we will try to understand how standardization of practices in civil aviation is brought in by ICAO. It is done through SARPS, that is, Standards and Recommended Practices. The Chicago Convention helped in the adoption of SARPS by contracting states. So far, about 12,000 SARPS have been promulgated, which aims towards 3 key points from air transport industry: standardization, harmonization, and cooperation among all the participating countries. In the year 1944, pending ratification of 26 contracting states, Provisional International Civil Aviation Organization or the PICAO was established. It functioned from 6th June 1945 until 4th April 1947. Further, by 5th of March 1947, the 26th ratification was received and on 4th April 1947, ICAO officially came into existence. The first session of ICAO was held in May 1947 with 46 contracting states in attendance. ICAO became a constituent member of UNO on 1st of October 1947. The regional offices of ICAO are located in 7 different locations across the globe. The Asia Pacific or the APAC office at Bangkok, Thailand, the Eastern and the Southern office at Kenya, the European and North Atlantic office in France, the Middle East office in Egypt, the North American, Central American and Caribbean office in Mexico, the South American in Peru, Western and Central African office in Senegal. The structure of ICAO is such that it rests on 3 pillars: the Assembly, the Council, and the Secretariat. The first is the Assembly. Assembly is comprised of representatives of member states and is the sovereign body of ICAO. It meets once in 3 years. Each contracting state is entitled to one vote in every decision making. And as of date, there are 193 members of the Assembly of ICAO, because as of date there are 193 contracting states under ICAO. Next is the Council. It is the permanent body responsible to the Assembly. It is comprised of 36 states elected by the Assembly for a 3-year term. The Assembly chooses the members of the Council from states of chief importance in air transport, states which make the largest contribution to the provision of facilities for international air navigation, and states whose inclusion will represent that the major area of the world is represented. And the third pillar is the Secretariat. It is headed by the Secretary General, who is appointed by the Council for 3 years and is in charge for 5 bureaus or divisions. The first, the Air Navigation Bureau or the ANB, which is responsible for the development and amendment of 17 out of 19 annexes. That is, all the annexes except Annex 9 and Annex 17. Next is the ATB or the Air Transport Bureau. It is responsible for amending Annex 9 and Annex 17. The economic and administrative aspects of civil aviation is controlled by ATB. It also has the responsibility of monitoring industry trends. The third is the Technical Cooperation Bureau, which is responsible for implementation of policy decisions made by the Assembly and Council. The fourth is the Legal Bureau or the LEB, which provides legal advice. And the fifth bureau is the Bureau of Administration and Services, that is ADB, and it provides services for the whole of the organization in areas of personnel recruitment and administration, language and printing, as well as conference and general services. Languages of ICAO publication. ICAO publications are printed in English, French, Spanish, Russian, Arabic, Chinese languages. Even the logo represents all the languages. We have a quiz here for you. As you can see that there are 6 languages of ICAO publication, but the logo of ICAO shows ICAO written only 5 times. Can you tell us why? Comment down below. Now we will understand what annexes are. Annexes lay down rules and regulations to be followed by contracting states and their personnel related with aviation in providing various services and facilities required for international civil aviation. So SARPS have standard practice and recommended practice. Standards are any specification for physical characteristics, configuration, material, performance, personnel and procedure, the uniform application of which is recognized to be necessary for safety and regularity of international air navigation. And states are required to mandatorily implement standards. In case states find it impossible to implement standards, they need to file a difference under Article 38 of the Convention, which is the Chicago Convention. And recommended practices are the practices which are desirable for safety and regularity of international air navigation, and the states should endure to conform in accordance with the recommended practices. The states are invited to inform ICAO Council for non-compliance of recommended practices as well. The next question is, how are SARPS created? The answer lies in 4 C's of aviation, which are cooperation in the formulation of SARPS, consensus in their approval, compliance in their application, and commitment of adherence to the ongoing process. It must be said that ICAO has proved to be an efficient catalyst to the growth of the industry over the last 70 years. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do like, share and subscribe because your support is our motivation.